All right, joining us now on the video hotline. I don't know what to call it. I'm not sure. I'm so happy. We haven't talked to him in several months. Connecticut Senate Minority Leader, one of the good guys, the Honorable Stephen Harding. Senator, welcome.
Morning, Pastor. Thank you for having me. Congratulations to you on this new show and this new platform. It's very exciting.
Come on, George. Let's see. What do we got here? Stephen, we're having a hard time with your audio. Just keep talking for a second. Unless,
all right.
There it is. We're good.
All
okay.
Right.
Thank you so much. Hey, good to see you. I haven't talked to you in a couple months. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
It's great to be on, Pastor, and I want to thank you for having me. But congratulations to you on your new platform.
Thank you very much.
This is really great, and you're such an important voice of wisdom, not only throughout the state, but throughout the country for that matter. And it's so important that you have a type of platform like this. And I'm very excited for you, and for all your listeners. I'm certainly going to be tuning in myself.
Well, praise God. You're very kind. Thank you. Hey, so we haven't talked in a couple months. Catch us up what's going on. I want to talk a little bit about the Bridgeport, the ongoing Bridgeport ballot debacle. What else has happened? Well, let's go right to there. I mean, what is happening in Bridgeport that they can't seem to get this thing figured out? Well,
you know what it is a lot of it is they don't want to figure it out. It's very obvious, or because they know exactly what the problem is. They know there's cheating that's going on. They know it's rampant. They know that they have to fix it or put safeguards in place to fix it in order to resolve the problem. And for whatever reason, it's just very obvious that they're unwilling to do anything about addressing election security in this state. And as we've talked about on your radio program previously, we've put in a number of different measures here in the Senate Republican caucus to address this. Ballot IDs, just simply providing an ID when you vote. Most states agree with. Even some Democratic-leaning states and blue states have these regulations in place, particularly as it relates to when you want to submit a ballot application. And the other thing is preventing individuals from sending out these unsolicited ballot applications. Because frankly, they're ripe for fraud.
I thought the whole purpose of originally, I mean, even the absentee voting and sending out applications, wasn't that all as a measure against or to come up against COVID? Wasn't that when that all started kicking in? And now it seems like it's just standard fare, no matter where you go.
Well, and so were the drop boxes. And if you remember, the drop boxes were never a thing until COVID came around. They implemented them. And now the ballot box or the drop boxes has been the vehicle by which Bridgeport has been stealing these elections, essentially. Or at least with the Wanda Jeter case, where we saw the woman stuffing tens of dozens, if not more, ballots into these drop boxes, and then also later that day instructing another individual to stuff even more dozens of ballots into the drop boxes. And so that was another one of the proposals, to suspend the drop boxes and to take a look at some measures we can put in place in order before we actually reinstitute these, if we even need them. To your point, these were COVID era instruments, essentially, that have now become mainstay and are now being used to be fraudulent within the system. So it's really sad that the Democrats in Hartford have just a complete unwillingness to actually address this issue.
It's so funny, Joe. I remember we're talking with a minority leader in the Senate in Connecticut, Stephen Harding. I remember when all this was really coming out and it's so obvious what was going on. The Dems' answer was they appointed a monitor, right? One monitor for the whole state. Right. What they're supposed to do, try to see all of the election boxes. They're going to travel on horseback from box to box. It was just so pathetically ineffective.
Well, and to talk about, to highlight what you're saying, the Democrats' resolution to all this was, we'll put a camera in front of the drop boxes. That was it. Put a camera in front of the drop boxes. And there's no regulation surrounding who even monitors the camera, who watches the footage of the camera. Just put a camera in front of the drop boxes. And then to your point, we're going to send a one person down there to kind of monitor this. And then what I find even more alarming is our Democrat Secretary of State here in Connecticut. When she was, I simply made a basic statement. Senator Sampson joined me in saying, this is an embarrassment. And frankly, any logical person that would see what happened in Bridgeport would say this is an embarrassment for our state. So Fox 61 reporter asked her, "Do you agree with that statement?" And she goes, "No, I don't. I don't agree that this is not an embarrassment." How do you not see this as an embarrassment to the state of Connecticut? It's just insane.
Well, because it's one of your party's tools to help win elections unfairly. So if that's in your toolbox and you want to use it, well, of course it's not an embarrassment. It's something they're proud of. Federally, the Republicans are putting together a bill requiring ID to try to cut down on illegal immigrants voting, and of course the Democrats are pushing back on it.
And I don't understand why. Again, they require an ID for almost anything else you do in life. I think there was, if I go to a will call window and pick up Yankee tickets,
right.
I have to show an ID in order for me to get the tickets. So if I'm going to go vote for the safeguarding of our election system, it only makes sense that I have to show you that I am the person that I say I am when I go and vote. That's all we're asking. We even had a proposal, Pastor Will, that said that if you can't afford an ID, we'll buy one for you. We'll get one for you free of cost, so that you can go ahead and show your ID when you vote. It's really that simple.
I mean, I go to my local Stop and Shop, and I'll buy a bottle of over the counter cough medicine or some kind of decongestant. When I go to check out, I got to I show my license.
Correct.
They want to scan my license. I mean, for cough medicine, I'm well beyond being carded age. I can do anything I want legally at this age. Actually, I had a traumatic experience the other day. I'll just share this with you quickly. My wife and my son wanted to go out a quick bite to eat, so we went to a local IHOP. And I don't know what got into me. I don't know what was wrong with me. But for the first time ever, I ordered off the 55 plus menu. I'm still
struggling your ID, Pastor Will. You look younger than 55.
So I mean, but it's so common sense. No matter what you do, they want your ID. I mean, I go to a Wolfpack game and I have to go through a metal detector and I have to show them my ticket. I mean, it's just like we do everything. We do so much more to protect other things that we do. And then for some reason, voting, we don't think that's worth protecting. We don't think that's worth verifying and monitoring.
It's the bedrock of our democracy. And what I think, what a lot of folks don't understand or fail to want to understand, frankly, is that, we're never going to have a growing positive democracy, or it's not going to continue to be positive and growing if we don't allow all of our citizens to have confidence in it. And that's all we're looking to do, is put common sense measures in place to ensure that we have confidence in our election system so that our democracy is vibrant and growing. Because what also is going to lead to problems is when you have all these loopholes and then you have people take advantage of these loopholes like what you saw in Bridgeport, it only leads to individuals logically asking, do I have confidence that the winner you're telling me is the winner today is truly and legally the winner? And so all we're asking for is put some common sense measures in place so that all of us can have confidence that the election is being reported legally. That's all. And for whatever reason, and I'll leave that to yourself and the listeners to decide. But for whatever reason, the majority party in Hartford is just unwilling to even have that remote conversation, which is just alarming.
I think this is a good opportunity for Republicans across the country. I mean, Democrats have never been more panic-struck, divided, fearful. I mean, what are they going to do, right? And Joe Biden did the interview. President Biden did the interview Friday night with George Stephanopoulos, blah, 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 blah. And Axios came out with an article and said this interview did nothing to calm the fears of Democrats. So they are scrambling. They don't know what to do. Trump is now, just reported this morning nationally, 11 points over Kamala Harris if she ends up running. Do you think Trump has strong enough coattails that even the forsaken state of Connecticut could see some change in Hartford?
I think, well, I'll leave it at this. We saw what happened in 2020, and we lost seats in the Senate. We lost seats in the House. And when it comes down to Hartford. However, we saw what happened in 2016. And in 2016, we gained seats. We actually became tied in the Senate, 18-18, for the first time in decades.
Mm.
And then we were almost tied in the House. We were only, I think, 5 or 6 seats away from being tied with the Democrats in the House of Representatives. That was after the 2016 election.
Right.
What
right.
I will say is what's going on nationally. This is shaping up to look a lot more like 2016 than it did 2020. And I think if that's the case, and if what happened in 2016 is reflective in the House of in Hartford of what can happen this cycle, that's going to mean good things for the Republican Party in the state of Connecticut, which I think ultimately is going to be is a vote for common sense, frankly.
Yeah.
In
Second time you've mentioned that. Common sense. I want to be the evangelist of common sense. I think we've lost that in this country. Just basic common sense. Think it through. Critical thinking. We've been replaced with this just fantasy education. Our education system's failing, and I'm praying. I'm hoping that we'll see this kind of turnaround come November. So wouldn't it be great if in January you can come on the show and I can refer to you as the majority leader?
Nothing would make me happier.
Wouldn't it be great? Right?
Nothing would make me happier. And again, I think, as I said, I think this is going to trend a lot more like 2016 for us than 2020, which is a good thing for the people of the state of Connecticut. And you were talking about federal debt before I got on, and it was a really good discussion point. And that's another thing that's at stake, even in addition to the common sense measures related to election reform here in Connecticut, but also these fiscal guardrails that we have in place that has kept our fiscal health like somewhat in decent shape here. I can guarantee you, if the Democrats grow on their majority in the House and the Senate, you can kiss those fiscal guardrails goodbye. Yes. And any semblance of being, understanding of the debt obligations we have, any semblance of staying within the confines of spending caps and being prudent with taxpayers' money is just going to go straight out the window. I mean, so that is what is at stake, at least in Hartford, this upcoming election. So for all those that, they're certainly going to vote on the top of the ballot. We know that. But for all those that are listening, make sure you vote all the way down the line. For your state elected officials as well, because there's a lot of important things at stake in Hartford as well.
Oh my gosh, our education system is failing in Connecticut. It's the worst state of the 48 contiguous to be a renter in Connecticut when you look at prices, availability, and location. 5th worst state to retire in. I mean, I was born and raised here. I love this state, but it's going to be very hard when I finally retire from my primary responsibility at the church. It's going to be very hard to make the case to stay here because, the taxes alone. I mean, I have to pay the first 6 months of property taxes. And I hate writing that check. It's enormous when I look at other states and I see other states, 1/10 of the property tax that we pay here in Connecticut, less income tax than we pay here in Connecticut. What are we going to do to keep people in Connecticut, Stephen? What are we going to do to make Connecticut the place that needs to be for people who want to live here?
And that's the reason I first initially ran even for state rep, was that I saw my friends leaving the state because they couldn't find jobs here because the economy in the state of Connecticut was lagging, to say the very least. We still haven't fully recovered. One of the only states in the country that hasn't fully recovered from the jobs of all the way back to the 2008 recession.
Right.
That's number one. Number two is I saw all my friends' parents leaving the state as they hit their retirement years. It's just too unaffordable to live here in retirement. So one of the things you didn't mention, and I know you were alluding to it, and I think in renters' cost, is your energy costs. We have the second highest energy rates in the United States of America. Now think about that for a second. We have no reason. We're second to Hawaii. Hawaii has a reason for why it's so
different island.
Energy. There is zero reason geographically, economically, why we should have the highest energy rates in the country. And if you look at it, Pastor Will, it's the policies that are being driven by the majority party in Hartford. They are mandating that the energy providers purchase certain types of energy, in their opinion, environmentally friendly energy, in their opinion. It is 4 times what the market rate is for regular energy costs. And then all of a sudden, when everyone's energy bill goes up, the majority is up in arms. They're outraged at these. Well, it's your policies.
You're doing it.
That are forcing the energy rates to go up. I mean, and it's basic math. So I am that is one of the biggest issues where I think if you get more Republicans in Hartford, you're going to see policies that are going to drive down energy costs, that are going to send a mandate to Pura and the other energy providers that look for clean energy, but also look for affordable energy as well for the people.
Sure. Every time I talk to you, I get encouraged because I think you're the future Republican Party in Connecticut. I think this is what we need to be shifting toward: younger, smart, sharp, common sense people. And I think you're leading the charge. You and probably half a dozen others that I would say in Hartford I consider the good guys, the good folks. Not to say it's all men, because it's not. Gail's good too. I like Gail. Anyway. Thank you so much for coming on. Maybe we can make this a little more regular.
I would love that, Pat. I'm watching your show anyway, so I might as well join in sometime.
Thank you so much. The Senate Minority Leader in Connecticut, Stephen Harding. Thank you so much, Senator. We appreciate you. Thank you. Yep. Thank you.